Hello, listeners. You are listening to KZAA 96.5 FM, Que Madre and Bienestar CCC and Warrior Mothers. We are your hostesses, Siobhan Hoover, Ali Cortez, and myself, Ana Rosa Rizzo Centino. And the title of our episode today is Jingle Smells. And why are we calling it that? It is when somebody else tries to make their pedo, your pedo, and how not to stick around and smell it.
I'm still
And the
5.
reason
Every
we're
time
skipping over Thanksgiving is because we don't celebrate genocide. So we're going straight into the holidays.
Amen.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes, I think this is definitely a great time to pause and make sure you have all your tools and your skills and your mantras ready, because it ramps up so really quick. And then well, a lot of people enter into crisis mode. And so to enjoy, the essence of being, present and giving yourself that present to be present in this one short life that we have, how to identify when, someone else's crisis is happening and you're getting pulled into it, or if you're in crisis, where to set boundaries, where to slow down, where to pause. It's okay to pause, giving yourself permission to pause, to think it through. I know I'm speaking from my experience, even just right now, this week, as things are just ramping up and it's all the way through, 2023. I want to be very intentional, and it's a struggle.
Mm-hmm. I think, to piggyback off that, personally speaking, I've had a lot of loss recently. And so taking that moment and really just wanting to be in the company of family and loved ones, right, that's the idea of this season. Like Ana Rosa said, we're not celebrating genocide. We're just having some family time and spending that time together in gratitude, but really taking a step back when, the alarms go off, and just kind of wiping your hands clean of catastrophic events that may happen. It's really a superpower. It's a way of kind of drawing your own boundaries. And I'm afraid that, a lot of us don't do that. And so just being mindful of your own space and being mindful of your own peace is huge.
Yeah.
So
sorry. I was just going to say, I've had a lot of loss too. My uncle passed away from 3 different cancers. And I don't know if it's the fact that he looks so much like my dad, but it was a big wake up call to enjoy my dad every day that I can. So this weekend we watched the World Cup together, and just trying to bathe in that joy that I feel when I'm with him, and then also Jonathan Bixby. Listeners might know him because he's actually been a swing dance teacher in Santa Barbara for a very long time. He also passed away. He taught me how to swing dance, and he's just somebody that lived with a lot of joy, and was queer and out, and just such a beautiful person. And so that also reminds me to not hide the parts of myself that I sometimes hide, and to just be joyful as much as possible.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna flex a little bit here. I have a private practice, and I have a client who is sharing that, she feels that after she started her therapy sessions, that she finally understood joy and how to use joy. And I think that, to me, was if there's an award that I love, it's that's oh, you found joy. It felt so good as her therapist, and also just as a human being. I think we're very receptive. We feel like when someone has joy, we really wow, that's a beautiful light. And it's sizzled.
Well, in loss, it's a reminder, right? It's a clear reminder that life is short, it is precious. And so finding the little joys in life is it's like it's the key to happiness. But and also without, you know, sorrow or sadness, we don't necessarily know what joy would be. You know, it wouldn't be, you know, you got to have the rainy days, you got to have the sunny days. It's about the balance. But I know it's always a time to reflect on, you know, okay, what am I grateful for? What blessings can I sit here and count? Because there's so many. And even if it's as simple as like, I have a bed to sleep in, you know, that that little glimmer is it's important to keep in the, like I said, in the forefront of your mind.
I love that. I think I said, like, you know, there's triggers and then there's glimmers. And so I love, you know, like, you know, I love naming things, right? So to be able to name the triggers and the glimmers during this time is going to help us really, you know, do that. You know, where do we step in? Where do we step out? Where do we share something? When do we not? There's times we're also, you know, going in and reflecting, and it's difficult to reflect if you're kind of in that, you know, your nervous system is activated and is in the fight, flight, freeze, or appease. And I think during the holidays, because we get closer to triggers too, and there's less, you know, like, oh, well, you have to be here on this day, and you have to bring this, or you have to do that, and at work, you know, in our personal lives, it gets, you know, it gets a little dicey. So I love that you're sharing that, Siobhan, and thank you, Anna, for, you know, really bringing back, like, to find joy. It's also identifying, like, where are the triggers, where are the glimmers, and then pivoting from there.
Well, I love that you name everything, Ellie, because I feel like sometimes language fails me, especially because, I don't know, I'm bilingual, and sometimes I'll remember a word in Spanish, but not in English, or the other way around, I'll remember it in English and not in Spanish. But that point about finding what your glimmers are is super key, because I feel like as busy women, we can get really exhausted a lot, and that exhaustion can be really powerful and overtake us. And I feel like even in that exhaustion, if we take the time to be mindful and think of, oh, wow, what am I grateful for that happened today? There's probably a lot that you're grateful for. You're just too tired, you know, a lot of the time to think about it. And I think, you know, we didn't mean for this episode to be about grief, but I think part of it too is during the holidays. For me, my daughter is my firstborn, is very present for me, you know, even from heaven. And so just thinking about too is like, I want to be present for both of my daughters in whatever ways they're manifesting themselves to me, whether it's my daughter Gloria jumping up in front of me and doing her cute little dances, or if it's Adelita sending me a message through mariposas, you know, butterflies. And I think that's really important, because our loved ones, they're still with us, and that's really important for us to remember, that they never leave our side, even though we can't see them physically a lot of the time. And to just value each other, like your friendship, your sisterhood, as much as I can every day that I get to see you.
So beautiful.
I'm like, oh.
Oh, I know that. And you know, and around the holidays, especially, I think, you know, we're not the only ones who feel that. You know, people who have passed on certainly send reminders, these daily reminders. We just have to be aware of them. And I think, you know, when all of our families come together, things can get crazy, and everyone's emotions are high, everyone's stress levels are high. So what are some things that you might do to draw those? So let's say, you know, there's a crisis going off in the kitchen, and, you know, the tias are arguing, and there's a baby crying over here. And so what can we do to kind of just wrap our head around this and be okay in these moments? What are some things that you do that others might find useful?
I was gonna say bring ponche or spiked eggnog, but
Hey.
then that can also be a problem, especially for our families who have, you know, issues with alcoholism within them. But for me, that helps kind of lighten the load a little bit. But yes, if you do have a problem with alcohol, stay away from it, no matter what time of the year it is.
I overeat. I eat my emotions so much. Yeah, so I love that you put that question in. Really quick to I know what you were saying about naming it, and you speak so eloquently. Like when you speak, it's like it's a poem, it's healing, and it's so heart and eye opening. So I just want to share that because you know, you do with your words, you help ground gently, kindly, and powerfully. You're very empowering with your words. And so I want to say that because I think one of the things is before we start recording, and I hate this word. I've always, but I used it just right now, and I'm going to share it again. Is, you know, when there's crisis around you, differentiating, like, is this my crisis or is this their crisis, right? So I do a little bit of math, like, do I add or do I subtract? And that could be, do I add in dialogue or do I subtract in dialogue? Do I subtract from my own presence? So the metaphor, because I love metaphors, is like, you know, when someone farts, you know, it's like, that's not my fart. I know no es mi pedo. And so I'm going to walk away, and reminding ourselves that we have the permission, because we know we have the power. But I think because of our childhoods, and I don't want to generalize, you know, I'm going to speak from my childhood. I also have shared, you know, with other colleagues that have similar experiences, that, you know, it was, you couldn't escape, you couldn't leave certain toxic people or environments or conversations. And it's like, no te sientas, you know, you stay here and you can't leave. So now as an adult, to remind us, like, you know, I do have permission. I give myself permission to leave, to walk away, to go for that walk, to remove myself from the conversation, to give myself that permission and metabolize. Because, like, you know, as I get, for example, like, I don't like to feel angry, but I do. And so I don't want to sit with that. So I have to remove myself. I have to walk. I have to, you know, shift my attention somewhere else. And that's okay. And I've learned to give myself a little bit of permission around that so that I can come back, or I can just recalibrate and find joy again. That's, you know, I think what I would, some of my tips on how to, you know, identify someone else's pedo and then how to walk away from that.
Well, because sometimes they have to smell it themselves to really see that it is theirs and that they need to do something about it. I'm sorry.
Oh no. Oh no. We lost her.
She's gone. Oh no. Oh my. Well, as Anna comes back to our channel here, just to our listeners, thank you for listening. We're talking about, you know, how to not enter a state of crisis, or if you are in a state of crisis, how do we come back to stabilization and enjoy the essence of the holidays? You're listening to KZAA 96.5 FMLP. You are with the amazing, incredible warrior mother, Siobhan Hoover, founder of Bienestar CCC, Alejandra Cortez, and soon to come back to our space, our incredible founder of Que Madre radio station, Ana Rosa Rizzo. So as she comes back, Siobhan, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, you know, I really like the metaphor that we're using because it is, sometimes you can be in absolute disgust, right? You're just of whatever is happening, you know, around you. And I know, you know, on one side of my family, things get crazy, you know, and people are arguing, and it's like, you know, this person was supposed to bring something and they're late, and you know, you know, and so really, I like the idea of being able to walk away. And something powerful that I have been using more recently when my emotions are high is just breathing. The power of the breath really kind of, it's like a reset for me personally. And so sometimes I'll be somewhere and I'll be like, And everybody's like, what's wrong? Like, no, nothing's wrong. I'm just kind of gathering myself, for that. But of course, if there is a failure, you don't want to inhale like that. So walking away and then going and taking your deep breath.
You don't want to take a big whiff of that one.
No, you don't. Necessary though, to just be, just to kind of, get your mind right is what it is.
So for a short minute, for a quick second, you hold your breath, but with the intention of walking away.
That's it. That's it. That's it. So, that was one thing. Another thing, or something that I also wanted to touch on was, these forced conversations, these forced relationships, forced hugs, things that we feel obligated to, that for so long it's like, okay, yeah, give everybody a hug. With my children especially, I say, you can give a hug if you want to, and allow them that choice. I don't feel as a child that I had so many choices. One side of the family, everybody kisses on the mouth, and and some people, I'm like, ew, I don't want to kiss them on the mouth. That's just, our family. Yeah, and
She's
she's
back. Yay.
but really allowing the option, to engage in that kind of behavior is, I really give them the choice now. So welcome back, my dear.
We're talking about also good. We missed you, but you're back, and we're talking about what Siobhan is touching on is that generational healing. There's an opportunity here when what you didn't get to have in your childhood, and then with your little ones, or as a tia, I'm on the, supporting my nephews and being like, hey, it's okay, you don't have to do that, you don't have to appease. So there's an opportunity here to we have more skills to also pass those on to the next generation during these times, because they're feeling it too.
That is such a huge topic, because I feel like most folks have a sense of entitlement or ownership over women and children's bodies, like never asking for consent with hugging or kisses or anything like that. And it's hard because it's something that we get very used to from a very young age. So people a lot of times don't even think twice about it. But I can see with my daughter, like when people are reaching out without like saying, hey, can I hug you? It's like, and I'm like, oh, can you ask her if it's okay? And then just repeating that over and over as much as I need to until people get it.
Absolutely. Setting those boundaries. And that's, you're going to get a lot of unsolicited feedback on that. Right. And then metabolizing that, processing that, and giving yourself that grace. It's like, okay, someone doesn't like that. No es mi pedo.
Yeah. Saluda and abrazos. And, yeah, I'm a hug thug, I'll listen, you're going to get this hug. but I've been more conscious of that now, and I'll say, are we giving hugs, or are we good? We giving hugs? And if they say yes, then, then they get snatched up. But
well, let's be fair, Siobhan, you give very good hugs, and I'm going to give you, Siobhan, and you, Allie, permission forever. You can always hug me.
Yay. No, there's in Allie, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't there chemicals that go off in the brain when you're in an embrace with someone? And the longer the longer the embrace, the more you feel it. So I think the average hug is 2 seconds, but I think a 8-second hug will kind of trigger things that make you feel it.
Absolutely. It creates psychological safety, with the person that you feel safe with. And so, yeah, absolutely. And to you too, Siobhan. Like, I feel so safe around you both. And so, like, whenever I'm around you, we got to be in a car together and just in the presence of y'all, even through Zoom, my nervous system really definitely like slows down and like recalibrates when I'm in your presence or just listening to your voice. So a testament to the power of our humanity and our power of love. And being, you know, too, Siobhan, like I love giving hugs, but I definitely I'm more observant of the person. And if I can't get a read or if they don't open for a hug, you know, I'll be like, oh, can I share? And I think I'm also modeling it for others as well. But it took me a while because I was always like, I'd go in for a hug right away.
Yeah.
Of course you want to hug me. Why not? But can we just share a little bit about the photo shoot with Carlos Avila? Because we got to hug during that photo shoot too, and that was very nice.
Oh my gosh. First of all, major kudos to Carlos. He really brought on like that like empowerment for us.
Yes, I was so nervous coming in. I mean, like to the point where I felt it in my stomach. Being in front of the camera kind of makes me nervous. And then once I'm there, you know, I'm okay. It's like a character comes out. But leading up to it, I was so nervous. And he just has a way of making you feel safe and comfortable and very powerful. You know, I did feel that. And then just with you ladies, you guys are so gorgeous and you're just camera ready. They were just like, boom, boom, boom.
Look who's talking.
I have one pose.
You look like a model.
Seriously, girl. I was all like, that's my girl right there. My girl.
You ladies. No, you guys, I was in amazement of you and seeing all those images. It just is a clear reminder of what we have and the sisterhood that we share. And I am grateful for it.
Same here. Super grateful. And thank you for giving the kudos on my personal images. Because for me, so I used to do pinup modeling before having kids, but I have not done any kind of modeling since bringing 2 babies out of my body. So, you know, I'm like very self-conscious, you know, about the mommy pooch and all that. But I just loved being around you too, because I don't get to do that enough. And I'm trying to think of like going into 2023, what do I want more of? And I definitely want more presence with you two. And I just thought it was such a trip how we all knew Carlos from different places. Like, what a coincidence. That was so crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
When you mentioned his name, I was like, I know him.
Yes. That was so serendipitous. Like, it was just like, oh my gosh. Like, when things align, and it's a sign that we're like, for me, it's just like, gosh, we're so on the right track. And I also want to, you know, give a huge shout out to our listeners. I've gotten some feedback about our show and people are really, you know, listening to what we're saying, and we're our words are really for you all, our listeners. We do this for you. We do it so much heart. We're vulnerable, we're open, we're empowering, and also, you know, real. We're real about our conversations. So thank you so much for listening. You're listening to KZAA 96.5 FMLP on Que Madre with Ana Rosa Rizzo, Siobhan Hoover, and Ali Cortez. A las órdenes for you, my listeners. So yeah.
Can you share that feedback with us? I love to hear listener feedback.
Oh, yes. Well, I'll keep it confidential too, so I'll share after a little bit, but thank you. You know, and as you can, one thing that I think that really helps us too is just like knowing that, you know, we're I know we're being heard, and then when we get feedback, it's like, oh my gosh, like we want to keep doing this, and it feeds our soul. And I mean, I'm not shy to say that I need validation. I will say it because we're all human and we all need validation. So when we get words of generous words like that, it makes a difference. Because one of the things that comes up with holidays, because of the proximity of triggers, and finding the glimmers, also comes comparison. You know, as a in my childhood, it was always like, you know, all of a sudden you're seeing your primos, your primas, and you know, it's like, oh, and not only that, like the Hallmark comparison, like your Christmas should look like this, and if it's not, and then, you know, other people's perspectives on how you want to celebrate Christmas or these holiday seasons. You know, I think a lot of comparison happens around this time.
That is absolutely true, Allie. And, you know, like you said, even within the families, I think that is, you know, you have the successful cousin that comes into town and suddenly you feel like what you're doing is not enough. Or, you know, like, oh, well, why can't you be like, you know, so and so? I think that
Okay,
that
but if you need to flex on people, be like, who has a radio show? I have a radio show.
my flex, you know, but my flex is so like humble. It's like, you know, they're like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, you know, things are very busy. And they're like, well, what are you doing? And then like kind of like run down the list of, you know, nonprofit work, training, oils, radio show, you know, teen group. And they're like, oh, okay. And it feels really, you know, and I am really quiet about it typically, unless somebody asks. But it does feel good to kind of just like, oh, well, yeah, I guess I do a lot. And to realize that is, I don't know, it's kind of like brings on a sense of purpose. And I do feel powerful. There are times I don't feel powerful, but typically when I talk about the work that I do, it is it's a powerful feeling.
Mm, mm. Yes, I love what you're sharing, because I think to normalize, like, yeah, there's moments where we really don't feel powerful. There's so many moments I am not feeling myself. And I spiral. I can, you know, share vulnerably, like there's so many moments throughout the day that I spiral. And I went hang gliding last year, and I think one of the valuable lessons I learned from that is that there's dips when you're flying. There's sometimes dips, and they're very scary because there's no air. So when you dip, you feel like you're falling, yet in the falling you find air bubbles that bring you back up, and those air bubbles can lift you up higher than from where you were at. So I think that for me was a valuable lesson in when I feel the spiral, that I'm like, okay, I'm dipping, and somewhere along the way I have faith that there's an air bubble. You know, like for me, at the time that we do this radio show, I'm like, there's my air bubble right there. You know, and I really appreciate Anna really setting this up, because, you know, like I feel so grateful to be part of this with you all.
Well, can I just be a little air bubble for both of you? Like if you ever are dipping or spiraling, give me a call and I can give you a pep talk, because I see so many amazing qualities in both of you, both internally and externally. And you're such a blessing, not just for my life, but every person that you encounter.
Oh, love. Thank you. And same. I think that's something that, you know, we definitely cherish this friendship, and we build upon it more and more. And there's like every time, like, oh my gosh, I get to know more from both of you. And so like it's a beautiful you know, it's so regenerative. So thank you, Anna. That means the world to me.
Well, because you said very plainly, like, I need validation. And I think it's important to say that out loud, because I think sometimes we're made to feel bad for needing validation, but I think it's a very human thing. And so when you have friends that can provide that for you, there's no need to not reach out for that. Because, you know, I often feel that way, but I feel like I'll get stuck in my head, and instead of reaching out, I go inward, and that's not always the healthiest thing, because then you go further down that spiral.
Yeah.
Guilty of that as well. Yeah. And relating, you know, and going back to relating to the images that we took, you know, with the photo shoot, and it's like, oh, well, you know, here's the thing, is that our bodies have gone through so much. We all tell a story. There, you know, I was kind of laughing because I told Carlos, I can't see what my double chin is doing in this photo. You know, I can't see when, and it's like, who cares? Okay. What my body can do at this moment in time, I am so much stronger than I've ever been. For you, Anna, your body is a portal. You brought in souls from a different dimension. And to me, that's something that should be celebrated. It should be honored. And I think that you should feel incredibly good about that. Like you should feel that, oh, well, hell yeah, wow, I'm a portal to another universe. Yes, you are. And I think that as women, we get really down on ourselves when we're not where we expect ourselves to be. But we can certainly strive to, we can have goals and we can work to get there. But celebrating where you are in this moment, and Allie, like you going hang gliding, I mean, you impress me with your with your adventures sometimes. I'm like, oh, I'd be so scared.
Haven't
But
you jumped out of an airplane too?
she did, didn't you? Yes, she did. Yeah, she's like, yeah, I did.
Oh, no big deal.
I know.
No,
And
I always freak out. I am not a graceful jumper out. Like I'm the one that's like, "Ah!" But for me, it's one of those, like, I just need to, like, I need my body to be shook a little bit. And those
little
kind
bit.
of those kind of things do it for me.
and
Adrenaline
rush.
junkie.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you need that. And to me, that's something that bravery, that courage should be celebrated. It should be honored. So I just want to
Let me tell you all a little secret. So the reason I did it, because I was on the pursuit of losing my fear of heights. And turns out that did not cure my fear of heights.
It terrified you.
It actually, yeah, I think actually it's made me a little bit more jumpy. So I do applaud myself for doing that. I also do want to share really, the truth of, like, I was on pursuit of it, and then realizing that fear will never go away. And it's more of like accepting that, yeah, that fear lives within me, and sharing that it provides care for me. Like, it's like, oh, it's just telling me to be more careful. But it was trying to, like, the pursuit of it definitely was not the outcome that I thought I was going to get. But I do celebrate the fact that I was like, well, I'm going to do it anyways.
No, it just trips me out because I've never identified as someone that is afraid of heights. But the fact that you are and you still did it, that makes me even more in awe of you, because that's how much braver. Oh, we got a visitor here.
Hello. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
So cute. For listeners, Anna's beautiful dog just came on camera and just, like, stole my heart.
She's a sweetie.
She's so sweet.
That's Ibuki. She made her camera debut.
oh.
Gorgeous. So yeah, we're talking about this, and yeah, just the courage to listen to ourselves, listen and attune. I know self-care is a big word. I'm learning more and more what self-care really is self-attunement and meeting your needs, and giving ourselves permissions to meet those needs, even when we're being pulled in all these different directions and people have their own agendas and their own priorities. To come back home and make sure you are a priority too.
So you are listening to 96.5 FM KZAA with Que Madre, Bienestar, CCC, and Warrior Mother Alejandra Cortez, Siobhan Hoover, and Ana Rosa Rizo Centino, and Ibuki, who is just below the camera now.
I love it.
So sweet. I'm wondering if we have any tools or tips and tricks on how to find peace in all of this craziness. How do we, aside from managing time, how do we get through the holidays without feeling crunched, without feeling crunchy? Sometimes you come out of a holiday and you're kind of burnt out. um, what are some tools that we can give our listeners on how just to enjoy these moments?
So I have three, and I've just been having to use them more because my anxiety has been kicking up over the last few months. And so the first is very deep breathing. And if that doesn't work, then I take the next step and I look around and I remind myself and I actually say it out loud, I am safe. Um, and then the third thing, if that still doesn't work, is drinking water. Like usually the water is very healing for me.
Water and wine, maybe sometimes.
Yes.
Wine for me.
Or sake or whiskey.
Yes.
Or
Yeah. Yes.
Those are really good tips. I love all of them. So important. And it's I also love how you brought on, it's like, if that one doesn't work, try the next one. Try the next one. Don't stop. Right? Sometimes we want to give up, being like, it is what it is now, and I'm just gonna have to, hold this. And I always say, like, we have a playlist. I believe there's about over 1 billion songs in the world. And so, but we have like a couple of our own favorite songs, like our songs that get us going, that really make us feel good immediately. There's something there, there's a message there, there's a beat there that really resonates with you. And I think that might be the metaphor for like that self-attunement. Like there's so many ways out there on how to cope and how to deal, healthy or unhealthy, but have your own playlist of your self-care, like just like what Anna, you demonstrated so beautifully. Like this one, okay, that one did it, okay, go to the next one, and keep trying. Don't give up, like don't abandon yourself during this time, when the world is asking you to do that. Consumerism, right? Like family sometimes, work sometimes, right? Partners, or even our own little animals, like there's going to be so much. People are going to want, the world really wants a piece of you. And so, making sure that you're attuning to yourself and knowing your playlist. I know for me, my playlist is definitely music. Will do it. If I can insert a random dance throughout the day, I'm good. Like it recalibrates me much more quickly. But sometimes I need to take that deep breath. So I kind of gauge myself in like, do I need an upper or do I need a downer? Like what do I need more energy? Do I need to slow down? And then just giving myself permission, like think like I'm okay. Like I give myself permission to stop here. I give my permission to be angry. I think that's the other thing, that, allowing my emotions to be present is another one, because they're telling me something and there's motion that needs to happen. So like when I'm feeling angry, acknowledging it, not suppressing it, and saying, I need to move. I need to move out of this conversation right away. And then going with that, and not abandoning my emotions that way. So that's a tip that I have.
I like that you bring that up, Allie, is acknowledging the emotion and actually feeling the feels. I think as sometimes, at least for me in my personal life, as a child, I suppressed a lot, because I didn't want to make other people uncomfortable, or I didn't want to bring down the mood or whatever it is. And so you just kind of stuff it down. But I love the idea of the dance party. Now as an adult, I remind myself, well, this is a celebration. So, let's turn up the music and let's get to dancing. Oddly enough, giving hugs. My kids are really good about, seeing when there's, well, my children are very connected to me especially. And so sometimes you just need a hug from someone who is kind of like solid. But again, just the reminder that this is a celebration and we are here together to be in each other's company, to soak up all that love and all the essence of family. I do think about some people never get to experience that, where they don't have family, or they don't have friends or sister friends that they can turn to. And so, it puts it in perspective for me, and hopefully for for other people that can see if they are in company of family and friends and people that love them, understand that there are some people that never, ever get that in their lives. So, you know, just another thing to keep within your heart is knowing how loved you are, you know, how adored you are, that sort of thing. Kind of how I keep the peace.
Yes. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. I love it. I think I know we're kind of getting to a place where we're wrapping up, and I would like to share also that, you know, this is a short-term and long-term kind of thing, right? So short-term, respond to what you need to respond, and then long-term is recover. So giving us ourselves permission to recover from, you know, physical, emotional, soulful things that are going to happen around us. You know, we're interacting with a lot of different worlds right now, and yeah, to give yourself that, like, okay, I'm going to respond to this, and then give yourself, you know, the permission to recover. And that might be like giving yourself a little bit of space or a lot of space if you can. Also mindful, you know, like you might not always be able to have space. So what helps you recover? Is it a special tea? Is it a special ceremonial or ritual moment with yourself? You know, like I know sometimes that coffee, you know, having my little coffee, I'll say some mantras while I'm having my coffee. I'll make sure that I pause at least for 3 gulps of my coffee. So I'm not just working and drinking coffee. Like I'm like 3 gulps to really be present.
Or how about giving yourself the gift of an orgasm? That's also helpful.
Yes. You take the edge off sometimes, you know?
De-stress.
I'm a believer. Yes. Yeah.
And you don't need somebody else to do that for you in case you're not in a committed relationship.
Absolutely. Self-attunement. Because your
Well,
pleasure
know
is valid.
what your body needs sometimes, you know. Your body. I'm a big believer in releasing, you know, stale energy, and so that is a huge one. It's like sometimes the body needs to, you know, to process things, and whether it be through movement, tears, orgasms, like it has to come out somehow. So allowing that release sometimes is just what we need.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I know you. I love you so much.
Sledgehammer on the ice
You bring up my like into Charles was like, because your pleasure matters. I'm like, oh, you bring that out in me. Like,
I know. I feel like we need a whole show about this.
We've been talking about doing a whole show about this. You know what we need to do? We need to take a visit over to Pura Luna Apothecary, because they have some things on their shelves that can be helpful, and they can talk about what they are, and you know, because I think that's part of it, is because as women we're not taught to talk about our pleasure like at all. In fact, we're taught to not talk about it. Not only are we not encouraged to talk about it, we're told not to talk about it. Then this will give people the opportunity to even think about, like, what are the things that can bring you pleasure, and it's not necessarily what the porns are showing people that, you know, is real. So, you know, we have to make it realistic and have it be from a woman-centered approach.
yes.
I love that. I'm in. Sign me up.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, this has been just checking in. How are we doing with our tips and advice on you know, really working, you know, navigating through the holiday season?
I think we've shared a lot.
Yeah.
This is like my diary, because I don't do enough journaling. So this radio show ends up being like my diary that I get to share with both of you. So that's fun.
Like therapy, a little therapy sessions of the week.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, it's a beautiful time to share with you all and to our listeners. And really, again, we really appreciate you all listening. And if you have any topics or anything you want to know more about us, Yeah, we've been pretty open. And it's just going to get even more and more and more as the time goes by. And, as we go into even 2023, it's exciting to know that we're already planning our episodes for next year as well.
Yes. Can't wait for 2023 with both of you. And all of our listeners, thank you so much for listening. You're amazing. You want to do our last station identification to close out, Allie?
You got it. It would be an honor. So thank you so much for listening to us. You have been listening to the incredible Hermosura Divine Ana Rosa Rizzo, the incredible warrior mother, gorgeous Siobhan Hoover, and me, Alejandra Belén Cortez Narvaez Melo Lopez, founder of Bienestar CCC, on Que Madre radio station on KZAA 96.5 FM LP. We're so grateful to you all, and we look forward to our next episode with you.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.